3.2 million years ago, the Earth was frozen in an age of ice. Vast glaciers carved the land. Endless winters ruled the seasons, and survival was never guaranteed. There were no cities, no technology, just small tribes of early humans. Fragile, vulnerable, yet determined to live. Predators lurked in every shadow. Saber-toothed cats, cave bears, and wolves. But the greatest enemy was the cold itself. The Ice Age was merciless. Those who could not adapt perished. And yet tribes survived. Through fire, through ingenuity, through courage, they endured where others fell. This is the story of how humanity's earliest ancestors faced one of the harshest chapters in history, the Ice Age, and how, against all odds, they found a way to survive. The Ice Age was not just cold. It was a world sculpted by ice and wind. Glaciers stretched for hundreds of miles, carving valleys and shaping mountains. Rivers froze solid, forests died under the weight of endless snow, and seasons blurred into years of winter. For early tribes, this was the battlefield of survival. Food was scarce, warmth was rare, and danger was everywhere. Mammoths roamed the tundra, scraping snow aside with tusks to find grass. Saber-toothed cats stalked herds from the shadows. Giant cave bears claimed caves as their thrones. And the humans? They were small figures against a vast, merciless world. But within them burned something stronger than the cold, the fire of survival. This frozen world tested humanity to its limit, and from it, our ancestors learned to endure. In a world of frozen winds and endless winters, fire wasn't just a tool, it was life itself. Tribes didn't have homes, cities, or warm shelters to retreat to. They had to create their own sanctuary by harnessing the raw power of fire and nature. Fire provided warmth and protection from the brutal cold. It drove predators away. It cooked meat, softened bones, and turned raw food into sustenance. It allowed them to survive the dark, a constant threat in the long nights of the Ice Age. But fire wasn't enough on its own. Shelter was crucial. They built homes from the bones of mammoths and the hides of animals they hunted. Each shelter was an art of survival, a fortress against nature's fury. Together, fire and shelter turned these early humans from prey to predators, from fragile beings to survivors. And in the warmth of these shelters, they found not only protection, but the strength to push forward. The hunt for a mammoth wasn't a simple chase. It was a battle of wits and strength. The mammoth, a towering beast with tusks like spears, was a deadly adversary. One wrong move could mean instant death for the hunter. Its sheer power was overwhelming. But the early tribes had something the mammoth didn't: brains. They didn't just charge at the mammoth, they strategized. They studied the mammoth's habits, its weaknesses. They learned to isolate the old, the sick, or the calf, the easiest prey. With flint-tipped spears and teamwork, they dug traps, set fires, and created a circle of death for the mammoth. They worked like a well-oiled machine, each member playing a vital role. This wasn't just about survival. It was about outsmarting nature itself. In the Ice Age, survival was a game of tools, and early tribes played it better than anyone else. Stone was their steel. With it, they crafted sharp-edged weapons and tools that made them formidable hunters and survivors. Flint was their blade. Bone was their needle. Mammoth bones were their building materials. But it wasn't just about weapons. It was about ingenuity. They mastered fire, not just as a heat source, but as a weapon, a signal, and a tool for survival. Fire kept the cold at bay, warded off predators, and cooked their food. It allowed them to forge stronger tools, light their way through the dark, and stay safe in an unforgiving world. These early humans didn't have modern luxuries. What they had was creativity and a will to survive, and these tools and innovations were their greatest weapons. Surviving the Ice Age wasn't just about hunting massive beasts, it was about every day, every meal, every shelter. Tribes lived in the harshest conditions, with food never guaranteed and shelter always temporary. They hunted small game, foraged for berries and roots, and fished in icy waters. But every meal came with risk. Every successful hunt brought relief, but hunger never stopped knocking at their door. Shelter wasn't a luxury, it was survival. Early humans built homes out of mammoth bones, animal hides, and wood. Inside, families huddled together for warmth and protection. The fire burned constantly, a beacon of life in the unforgiving cold. But above all, survival was about community. Early tribes didn't survive alone. They worked together, shared food, built shelter together, and supported one another. The bond of community was their greatest strength. It was the greatest test of survival. The final clash between humans and mammoth. The mammoth was the last of the giants, towering, powerful, unstoppable. Its tusks could crush bones, its weight could flatten warriors, and its roar echoed like thunder over the frozen plains. But the tribes were desperate. Winter was long, food was scarce, and a mammoth meant life for weeks. One kill could feed the entire camp, give them hides for shelter and bones for tools. So they prepared. Fires were lit, spears sharpened, traps set. And when the moment came, the hunters charged. The mammoth thundered forward, snow exploding under its feet. Spears pierced hide, hunters shouted war cries, and fire lit the battlefield. Some fell, others pressed on, until finally the great beast stumbled. With one last roar, the mammoth collapsed. Silence fell across the icy plain. The hunters wept, not only from victory, but from loss. For in that moment, they knew the age of giants was ending, and the age of man had begun. And so, on the frozen plains of the Ice Age, the battle ended. The mammoths, once kings of the tundra, fell one by one to hunger, climate, and the relentless determination of mankind. The tribes mourned the giants, yet they celebrated survival. For each mammoth that fell gave them food, shelter, warmth, and tools to carry on. But deep down, they must have known the world was changing. The Ice Age shaped humanity's destiny. It taught us fire. It taught us shelter. It taught us community. And most of all, it taught us resilience. The mammoths are gone, their bones buried beneath the snow, their roars lost to history. But their memory lives on, carved into caves, painted in ochre, whispered in myths passed down for thousands of years. The fall of the mammoth was not just the end of an era. It was the dawn of ours. The age of man had begun. But here's the question. If our ancestors could survive the Ice Age with nothing but fire, stone, and courage, what will we do when the next great challenge comes?